Hey, hello all. Welcome to this session where we're going to talk about React linters and formatters. I am Zaki Mohammed, and before I begin, I really want to thank Geekle for providing me such a great platform where I can share about this important topic that will help us leads to maintain the quality in our project. So I'll talk about myself a little. I am Zaki Mohammed. I am a consultant at Microsoft. I love to call myself as a learner, developer, blogger. And since I'm calling myself as a blogger, I have a blog called codeomelette.com where I mostly post content regarding the web development, the cloud, the front end, the back end. I love to share my content and learning that I've gained throughout my journey. I highly recommend you to guys to check out my blog and let's proceed. So for today, our agenda will be in this way. We'll start with the introduction. We'll talk about why, what, how, and we'll talk more about the how part in the linters, formatters, and the quality gates. So let's begin. So before I touch base any other thing, I'll call out. Let's let's revisit the term quality itself. Okay, so quality have what first thing that comes in our mind when we call quality. Okay, so there are a lot of terminologies, there are a lot of meanings about quality. From me and my understanding, I think that quality is a very if quality is maintained, it can kind of replaceable term with the brand or the individual itself. So if I'm having if I'm marking my word and I'm keeping my promises, then people will rely on me. So that is I'm giving a quality. Okay, people will rely on me. Similar goes for any firms, any individual, any company, any product. So if the product is promising what it has to offer, then it is serving the quality. So it's kind of a replaceable term with kind of any brand. So if you talk about any bikes and all, and I'm really fascinated about the bikes. So BMW, if there is a bike called BMW, then we know that how much quality it will going to offer us, right? So that is the game. That is the thing that quality speak about itself. Okay. So how these qualities are maintained? So maintaining them is a big thing. You have to be done thorough testing, thorough research about everything, every minor details. So the attention to detail is very high if we want to maintain the quality, and quality takes really good amount of time. How we can measure this thing, how we can measure this thing in terms of code. Okay, get back to the coding thing. So coding and programming and development is a whole lot of a different way, different thought process is given. Because if we compare to any physical product, anything that we build outside of the computer screen is something else. And thinking in the terms of coding is really something else. Because the challenges are here in a different way. And things are very dynamic. Things are coming in every 6 months. There is new things and we have to adapt to it. So the quality maintaining thing is a critical item over here. So one quick joke over here and a meme that we commonly shared among the coding industry is that this is a way how we can judge quality. Okay. So if there are a lot of noises going on in the code review team and at the time of code review thing, so it's a bad quality. And when the things are going smooth and there are a lot lesser noises, then we can say it's a good quality. So it's a very it's a good joke actually, but it's a reality. If there is a lot of less noises, then we can say people are who happy to work. It's a reliable code. People are willing to contribute, but it's a very messy and not good fit quality product. Then nobody wants to invest on that kind of product, right? So this is a very layman term. If you want to say at a ground level, this is what comes to the quality thing. But yeah, there are different tools and things that we can judge quality and we can maintain it. Like the last resort and the last and final and very important resort is one of the PR reviews that happens at most of the company and everywhere. Okay, in the that is a part of the project development. So PR reviews are done by leads and architects, and they thoroughly test the PRs, the changes those are coming, and they think end to end. Okay, to support them, we have linters, we have formatters, we have quality gates to help them and to reduce this kind of burden over them when they are doing this important activity. So these tools actually reduces the amount of effort they have to give while reviewing PRs and all. Okay, so these are the tools that we have. Unit testing is one of the very great thing that to have, and some certain coverage percentage people maintain, and this is different team to team. Okay, so these are the quality checkers and tools that we have, and in the quality in the coding world we do this. Okay, so, but let's come back to React actually, okay, because this session is all about React. So, what are the challenges? That might be some challenges why this topic is a session over here, right? So, challenges are in terms of if we talk about from the basis, there is a base problem. Not I would say I would not call it out as a problem, but the challenge is the language itself. Okay, This is a challenge because of the perspective that we carry. Okay, because more of the developer and in the academics, we start from the object-oriented concept of programming, and we get we start from there and we go somewhere else as an advanced developer. But coming from that background and understanding JavaScript on the same kind of platform is very difficult and challenging, because the language itself is having its own concept, and it is having its own ideology that differs from the OOPS concept based programming languages. So the intent of this language is different. It's interpretive language. It's a very dynamic and it's a functional base mostly. So the intent is different. The concepts are very different. So understanding that is very challenging part. And writing in that same manner is also difficult, because in an interpretive language, every time there is no compilation thing going on like C++ and C Sharp and Java we used to have. So the chances are very high that these kind of bugs can be slip into the production easily. Okay, there is some challenging associated with the language itself. First thing. So moving forward, there are tons of number of tools available to write this particular language, because there is ownership is little lesser in this term. Because if we talk about Java, entire system is there, Oracle system, Eclipse is there. We write our code into that IDEs only, because we get a lot of support. Even though people are writing in other IDEs also, but there are very minimal percentage. But in the JavaScript, everybody uses their own tooling thing. They whatever the preferences we all have, right? So there is too many editors. Then if there are too many editors, the control over these codes and the code, whatever the developers write, is less. So the lack of quality gates, the by default quality gates are very less and minimal. So that is one other problem that we have. So all these combined problems are there. So we have to address them and we have to come up with some solutions, right? So for this, we have linters, we have formatters. So in this topic, we're going to start with the linters, because these tools will going to help us to achieve some level of quality, some level of cleanness in our code base. Okay. So these are the agenda we'll talk about in the linters. We'll start from a quick start. We'll talk about the commands that those are there. We'll see how we can generate some kind of reporting. We see how we can ignore certain cases where we don't want to actually have those linters running, and we'll see if there is any extensions available to us. Okay, so let's begin with that. So I'll directly jumpstart with the entire thing. I'll go and create one directory over here. I'll get started from here. Okay, so this is all about React, and just to set up ground rules, I'll start with the React-based development for using Vite. Okay, so let me get started over here. I'll take this folder as a reference point. I'll go with the basic command to create any application, create, and I'll call it as a latest. I'll get started with this one. Okay, so I'll call it as a beat project. Yeah, okay, let me just revise it again. Sorry, my bad. Oh, okay, I'll call it as a, let's say, Geekle. I want to call it as Geekle project, React 24. Okay, I'll not add more naming to this. Let's take React over here. I'll go with the plain JavaScript. I'll not adding any flavor over here. Okay, so let's go with this one. I'll go to the directory first by default cd Geekle React 24, and I'll just go to the VS Code directly. Okay, so I'm going to use this coding editor that most of us actually uses. What happened? Yeah. So we got a clean application over here. Let's do the remaining part of it. I'll just do the npm installation. Cool. So let's do the npm run dev. Yep. So we have it. So it's running up and running, right? So neat and clean application is running. So this time we are not more concerned about what we are going to develop. We are more concerned on what we have actually developed. So this time the spectrum is a little different. So let's before even begin, let's see what we get when we actually create a Vite project. Okay, and it's a common practice. Even React.dev is also saying that if you're solely building a client-side application, go with the Vite, and if you're having intent to create any server-side rendered application, go with some other tooling like Next.js and all. Okay, so we'll go with the Vite thing. And Vite by default provides us a support to have a ESLint by default enabled in our project. So if I go to the package.json file, we can see the ESLint command is by default enabled and it's there. So lint command is by default there. And if you see the CJS file is also there for the ESLint. Okay, so this is the file that is maintaining things. So before I talk about much regarding this file, let's just run this command. So if you're new to this thing, let's see how it goes. So yeah, if when I just run this command, I see nothing. Okay, because there is nothing problem in this project. Okay, as per the rules that I've right now applied. So if I go to the CJS file, I'll just collab the things those are not required for now. Let's see what are the things at the root level. So we have a root to means it will run on this entire project directory. It has a browser support, yes, and E20 20 ES2020 it is using right now. And ignorance pattern. Let's say I will going to ignore the dist folder because when I build this project, there is a dist folder. I don't want to run my linters on checkers on the built version of it because that is the final version, right? I don't want to run that on that one. And finally, we have these another settings, those are there. Okay. And the most important thing is the extends. So there are a lot of plugins also available with the ESLint that we can add and remove. So right now, by default is the ESLint recommended that is there in from the official ESLint website. But since this is a React application, we are getting some of the bunch of React related specific recommended linters. Okay, so these are the plugins based linters, which is by default included in the Vite project. Okay, followed by rules. Okay, so we are having some rules over here. Those are given in this way. We can even add some of the new rules if those are not covered over here. If we are not okay with those are not part of ESLint recommended. Okay, so that's how it is. So basis on this, it is running. Okay, so let's try to break this a little and then move forward. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll just go to this app.jsx file and I'll just want to see this kind of error appearing. Okay. Meanwhile, I'll just do, I forgot to actually turn these things off. I'll just do this so that this will should not come in the way. I'll come to this extension later on. Okay. So let's just get this disabled. I guess so it is got disabled. Okay. Yeah, this is asking for enablement. I'll just go back. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just have a debugger over here. Now, as per the rule of ESLint, it's an error. Okay, I'll come to that also, how we can check that. So if I now run the command, so see, we can clearly see it's an error and it's appearing over here and it's a no debugger. Okay, so there is a error kind of what kind of error it is shown over here in this way and some kind of error message. Okay, so having debugger is not allowed. Let's try to generate some more lint errors. Let's say if I create one if block, okay, and I just made it as false by default and I have just select some condition over here. Well, I just printing something. Okay, now let's me run this. So this is a condition where I have a static value constant condition. So this is a constant condition, and obviously this will code will never run. The constant condition is not allowed. Okay. And let's say if I have a block if and I don't have anything inside it. Okay. So this is a constant problem. Plus there is an empty block. So let's see whether we are getting those errors or not. Yeah. So there's an empty block problem, no empty. Then there is a constant condition again. Okay. So there are tons of errors that we can see and check how they are kind of generating, how we can even have a control over them. Okay. So how we can check that there is a website called ESLint. So let's first visit this website. Okay, so this is a pure website, and you can even have it manually installed, manually set up for any project. The Create React app application used to have this by default enabled. Now Vite is also having this. Okay, so if you want to have a more understanding like how to get started, what are the rules available, how to configure rule references, so you can find everything over here. Okay, so let's say one rule I want to have it manually added over here. So there is a one very pretty rule which is kind of called nowhere. Okay, so let's say I want to have this rule in my project. Okay, where I don't want anyone to create any variables using where. Okay, we know that there's a block level scoping and everything problem is justified by using let and const instead of where. Okay, so I want to promote this rule. Okay, how can I do that? So we need to have this in the configuration file. So let me just copy this rule and let me just have it in the ESLint, because if I right now do, let's say where a equals to 10, if I do this and if I run this, this is not appearing as an error over here. So there is no use wheres are there. Like it is declared but not used. So one kind of error is there, but I don't want this where also to be used to declaration. Okay. So if I go over here, I can see there are rule section. So if I go and add this and I make this as an error, comma, then now if I run this, it should be coming as an error. See, this is also coming as an error. So, and otherwise, let's say if I want to make this as a warning, so I can make it warn also. So this is becoming a warning. Okay. So you can have your own control. which if you want to have some custom things going on in the rules thing, you can even have it over here. Okay. Now, other thing is that how we, let's say if in some circumstances, I don't want to have this as an error. Okay. I don't want to have this as an error. What can things I can do is I can have a ESLint ignore command over here. See this one, ESLint ignore next line, ESLint disable next line. So if I run this, now let's see, it should be ignoring those two errors. Okay. Those two errors are gone. So this is how we can do it. Lastly, there is a one more thing we can have is the file. Okay. Let's say if I want to have the ignorance on entire file. Okay. So can I do that? So let me show it to you how we can do this. So if I have to such kind of condition, then I can just simply have ESLint ignore. Mostly what we do, we ignore the entire disk folder. Okay. We ignore the disk folder entirely to have a check for this one. Then what we do usually is we ignore the packages, and also in some cases we don't want to have a packages and control over here. Then lastly, if I want to ignore this particular file, okay, app.jsx. So what I'll do is I'll go to the source, I'll add the source and app.jsx file. Okay. So if I now have this kind of ignorance, and if I run the lint command, see everything is fine because this entire file is ignored. So I'll just undo that and I'll run this again. So now I'm getting the error. Finally, let's see some more interesting things over here. Now let me have one more command for me. Okay. So here by default this command is there. I want to have my own command called, let's say, lint colon HTML. And I want to see this report not like this. I want to have an HTML report for this one. Okay. So if I go to this end of the line, and if I just go to this one, I want to have a lint hyphen report dot HTML file to be created. And the format I want to have as an HTML. Okay. So I just added two things new over here. So let me run this now. Sorry, npm run lint HTML. Cool. So there is one file created, lint report. Let me just run this as a live server. So I have a live server in my machine. I'm just running this over here. So now we are seeing as a HTML file. So what we can do is if you have a CI/CD pipeline, we can configure this report to be generated at the time when the build happens, and so that the architects and leads can have a clear documented way to see this kind of report, not in the CLI and all. So they can have a clearly visited report over here in a more proper fashion. So that is we can have it over here. Okay. So coming back to the slides, so we have just quickly seen how we can do the setup and all for the ESLint. By default, it comes, and it how easier it is to have this kind of thing from the day one. Okay, so there is a website. We know there is a run command. We have seen the run report, and there is ignorance way. Two way of ignorance, either to have at the line level or either to have an entire ignorance file. Okay, so there are two way we can do it. Finally, let's come to the main important piece that there is an extension. Okay, there is an extension available which help you to have this error by default available on your screen before even you run any commands and all. So I just disabled that, if you remember, and the first go I disabled that one only. So if I just type ESLint, I am enabling it again. So now if I come over here, you can see those errors are coming, and even it is respecting this commented line also. It is ignoring the next line. So if I just remove this, it is again coming. Okay. So now let me get rid of these errors. Fine. Now if I run this, okay, so it should be clean. Fine. So that's how it is. Lastly, there is one more thing that we have seen, that those are React-based recommended things. What are they, and are they working? So there you can online check, and on npm page we can see like how the recommended errors are there for these React tools. What I'll do, I'll quickly create one component to see how it is behaving with the React thing. Okay, so I am just creating RFSC, and here that is just title. I want to accept a message. Okay, and I'm just displaying the message over here. Nothing fancy. It's just that I'm taking a message and printing over here. That's it. Okay. Then coming back over here in our app.jsx, I want to use this component somewhere. So let's say over here, I want to have this in the line number this one. I want to have title like this. And what I want to supply a message. Let's say um, hello, yes, lint. Okay, I'll just do this. If I just want to first check this in a running manner, so I'll just run dev. I go over here, I can see it is coming. Absolutely fine. There is no problem in the running. So coming back, yes. Now if I run the lint command, let's see what happens. Is it respecting those kind of errors of React related thing? Yes, it is. So if I come to the title file, since now we have ESLint extension, it is showing us this error. and it is now even showing this error also. So this is okay. This we understood that React is not used, so why we are having it? So no use where, so it is removed. And if I just run this again, let's see, it should be gone. So we are remaining with the one error, that is prop types. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'll just, this is asking us if I want to see what kind of error it is. So this is missing in prop validation, ESLint rule number this. Okay. So that kind of errors we are seeing because those rules are also added. Okay. So let me just import it. I'll just, for the ease of quickness, I'll just add it over here in this way. And I will just have this at the end somewhere. Okay. So let me just have it. So prop types, I'll just have this in this way. Okay. Is required. I'm just ignoring for now. Fine. So this is gone. Now, if I come back and run this one, it should be fine. So by default, when we set up project with Weed, we are getting the React setup, and along with that, we got by default ESLint. If you don't have this one by default in your machine, then you can configure it like how it is already there. So we just require to have ESLint installed in our project. So if you go over here, these are the packages those are there. ESLint, these packages need to be have for the React based development. Okay. Coming back to our slides. Let me just run this. Just swap the screen. Yeah. So where were we? Okay. So we have seen all of them. And coming to the this also, we have also seen the extension. Now let's proceed with the formatters. So we'll again do the same chores with the formatters. Let's do it from here only. So there is a formatter called Prettier. There is a specific dedicated website for this. Okay. And it's an unopinionated opinionated code formatter that are asking you to do certain things in a certain way. Okay. So let's do this. First of all, it is asking us to install this in our project, npm I prettier dev d. Okay. So let's do this. npm I prettier hyphen d. So why we have to have this as a dev dependency? Because these are the things those are only required and necessary while development, not post development. That's why we are adding them as a dev dependency. So let's have it. So now we should have it, right? We have it now. Now let's add some command for this one. Before I add some command, I just want to have a um, I want to have a configuration file for the Prettier. So how to create a configuration file is very simple. We just create a file called prettier.rc, and I'll just copy paste some of the few configuration just like how we have it for the ESLint rule. So I'm just having it now over here in this way. And these are the some rules I'm having. So there are tons of other rules for the Prettier. We can have them, but I'm just going with the bare minimum. Okay. So single quote, we can have this, and we are enabling the bracket same line, and we are ending offline, we are making it auto. Okay, so nothing more we are adding, we're just going with a very plain one. Now since we have it, let's have some command for this one. So I'll just quickly grab the commands just to make it quick. Okay, I'll have two commands. Okay, one is the prettier check. So before I begin whether my system has some problem or not, so what I'll do now, I'll do this in this way. I'll just misformat this everything, and what I'll do, I'll make this on the appear on the second line. Okay, now let me run and pm run prettier, and I'll just first do the check. When I do this, it is showing me that files those are having problems in terms of their formatting. Okay, so this is showing around 6 files those are having problem in their formatting. So it will just denoting us. Okay, so what we can do is, let's say I want to fix them all at once. So I just want to run this command. So npm run prettier right. So what this will do, this will update all of the file in a one go. So if I come back, you can see everything is formatted. Fine. So this is a very amazing thing, right? This is a very catchy thing. Even you can configure this with a extension. Okay, so let's do that. So there is an extension called Prettier, just like how we have for ESLint. So if I search it, I already have it, so you can just install it. Then that's it. What it does, it actually, if you have a Prettier configuration file, it respect this file and perform the necessary formatting based on this file. Okay, otherwise it will set up take the defaults those are there in the Prettier setting. Okay, and you can configure once you install the extension, you can go over here, format document with, you can select Prettier code formatter as a default one. You can even configure the default by selecting this one. So by default, it comes with the default VS Code extension formatter. You can make it Prettier formatter. Okay, once this is done, now if you right click and format document, it will work as per the Prettier. So if I right click and format document, it will work as the based on the rules those are there in this one. So this is not having all the rule, but by default, it is taking some of the rule. Those are set as a default thing, while I can override some of the things. Let's say quotes. I am mentioning specifically go with the single quoting thing. Okay. So if I come over here, let's say I made it false. Okay. And if I just come back and right click and format this document, see everything becomes sub double quoted, right? So, but I don't want that. I want to go with a single quote. I again come back and right click format document. Fine. So that's it. So that is how we can have a control over here. Now let's move forward and let's go back to the PPT and let's see what things are there. Okay. So we install it. We have this one. We also have these commands. We ran this one. We come to know that, okay, the files are not correct. We run write to update all the files at once. And we have seen the extension. Coming to the most important part. Still, the Prettier is there. If everybody is using it, that's all fine. But still, there is a gap. Let's say if I updated the code and I didn't run the formatting thing, there is an auto save option also. But if you, let's say, not having that enabled, still your formatting is on toss. And somebody is doing that, they don't have Prettier installed. They are checking the code, they are new or whatever. So they are pushing their code, unformatted code to the dev branch or to the repository. So in order to avoid that, it is very important step to add Prettier as a ESLint tool. So how we can do that? We need to have these two configurations installed in our machine. So for that, I'll just grab these two commands from here and just to expedite a little bit so that we can wrap up this session. So these two commands I require to have in my system. So let's come back to our project. I just install this. And if I just install another one, so these are the two configuration that I'm just installing. One is the ESLint config Prettier and another is the ESLint plugin Prettier. So here, if I go to the package to the ESLint JS, the same thing that has already been done for the React. So once this is done, the another step is just to have this over here in this way. Okay, so I'm just quickly copy pasting one. That's it. Now, if I am doing something wrong in the terms of formatting, this will become as a lint error also. So if I'm running npm run lint, this should be coming as a lint error. See, so now it is coming and showing as a lint errors. In order to fix this, I can run npm run prettier. Right. I don't want to go and check individual files, but I'm misspelling it. So all at once, everything's done, right? So that is it for the prettier setup, and we can run lint to check it as a error. Coming back to our slide. Now this is not also last piece is still remaining. So even we have all these things set up, everybody is using, every developer is following, but there is no final check over here for the PR reviewers. Okay, so for the PR reviewers team, what we can do, it have a CI gated pipelines enabled for this one. Okay, so the quality gates that I'm talking about, that is one thing that we should have. Okay, so once we have it, so we can so it will capture this thing. So otherwise, if we don't have it, other team members are creating these issues and some of the team members are fixing these issues. Okay, that is a problem that we usually have. So we must have a quality gates. This quality gates we have even in the GitHub action base, or we can have in other kind of project management tools. So we can have them in both areas. I'm not touching those things in much detail over here because I just those are little more topic in and goes in the DevOps direction. I don't want to go on and touch base on those things. So basically, a CI gated pipeline needs to be have. Even you have to have a Sonar cloud available for you so that this kind of endless cycle way should not be there. There are a few suggestions I'm just giving and wrapping this session up. So first is if you are having a greenfield development, okay, you are having a start project. So you can the things are very easier. You can have a easy setup, just how we have seen over here. Set it up from day zero. So make sure you set it up from day zero. Otherwise, you lose a lot of things. And if it is a brownfield development, it's actually overlapping. So all in one go, you can go. If there's lesser feature development going on, you can go in one shot. But make sure you have a full scale regression, and there are some risky areas also. And if there is a lot of feature development is going on, and most of the time it's like that only, so you can go rule by rule. Let's say if you have finished all the rules related to nowhere, then you can have this as a rule added to the ESLint and have it as in the pipeline check. Okay, so that's how some of the differences I just mentioned. And you can have a GitHub action like this added. So once it is added, it will show as an error over here in this format. Okay, so whenever I erase a PR, I'll get this kind of error. It will not allow me to merge my PRs. Okay, so that's how we can have it. So we can have this as a very small thing, but I'm not going in that direction right now. And wrapping up this session, thank you all for connecting. This is a very important piece where senior developers have to have these kind of hurdles to check. and maintain the code qualities. So these tools need to be in place, plus the quality gates need to be in place. So on that note, I'm closing this session. Thank you all for joining. I'm Zaki Mohammed. Please make sure to follow me on this kind of platform. Thank you very much.